Hello, it's Sue here from Imagination Crafts, and for my demonstration now what I'm going to show you is using this beautiful lacy swirl border stencil, and I'm going to be teaming it with the gorgeous Lily art stamp which you've seen us using before. I'm going to be using some black archival ink, and I'm going to be using my gorgeous lapis blue sparkle medium. Now the first thing that I've done is I've actually taped my stencil down onto a piece of black card, but I'm going to come to that in a minute, because what I want to do first of all, I actually want to stamp on acetate using my beautiful Lily art stamp. Now I know stamping on acetate is something that we all get a bit nervous about, so I'm going to be freestyling here folks and I'm going to be using my black archival ink. I'm going to be doing some stamping onto some acetate. Now, before I do this, I'm going to ink up with a black archival. Now, as you know, when we ink up on YouTube, if you've got your camera on your tripod, which is busy filming you, and we pat this too hard, then I could make, oh yes, we've got a bit of camera shake. So what I'm going to do, not what I would normally do, I'm going to ink up onto my stamp, lifting my stamp up, as I say. That's not how I would normally ink it. I like to put it flat down on a flat surface and then really ink up from there. So just to make sure that I've got enough ink on here, I'm just going to pop it down on the table and ink up. Again, I put my stamp onto a rocker block because I find that they're really easy to stamp with, but stamp will fit onto any block, anything at all. Okay, let's just do, you've really got to ink up your art stamps well. Get plenty of ink on. Just when you think you've got enough, just add a little bit more, and particularly on your edges. We want to make sure that we get as much ink as possible, particularly because we're going to be stamping onto acetate. I like to stand up again to stamp because I really want to get as much of this ink onto the acetate as I possibly can. So I'm using a little stamping mat with a little bit of foam. If you haven't got this at home, you could use a pile of magazines. Now, when you're stamping on acetate, just think to yourself that it's going to be slippy. As long as you hold with one hand and you press with the other, there's every chance that you will stay in the same position. So here we go. Let's have a look and see what we've got here. So there we've got our lily stamped onto our acetate here. So if I hold that up to the camera, you can see what I've got. Now, this needs to be put aside just for about 10 minutes so that your archival ink will dry. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to use one that I stamped earlier, because what I want to show you is a great technique using your sparkle medium. If you want fantastic sparkle, really amazing sparkle, turn your acetate over. And I think it would be really useful here, because I've already taped my stencil down, if we use a bit of white copy paper. And I'm going to now spread sparkle medium over the back of my stamped image. I love this technique, absolutely love it. Now there are several ways you can do this. I'm going to show you in a minute. You could mask off round the edge with some masking tape. That will give you a nice even border to work to. I'm doing this freestyle, so I haven't got my masking tape, but I will show you some where I did use masking tape. So you can do it in two light coats, but I want to show you here how this is going to look using one. Now you can also use a baby wipe to clean up in a moment, but go down the edges so you get a nice crisp edge with your palette knife. Just spread this across, and then we can always clean up in a minute and wipe over with a baby wipe. So what I like to do is, if you've got your you've actually got your tape down, you will see this gives you a much cleaner edge. So I'm going to show you how that will look when it's dry. So if I hold that up to the camera, look at that. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? And that is how sparkly your sparkle medium is behind your stamp. And can you see here what I've done? I've actually taped round the edge, so this has given me an edge to work to. So on the back, that's how it looks. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to spread on the back, and it's going to come through and give you this fabulous image on the front. So the next step of this card, I'm going to put that to one side. The next step is I've taped my stencil down, and I just want to spread my lapis blue over my stencil. Now again, I'm using a border stencil, so this is my Lacy Swirl border stencil. And again, you could mask out in the middle if you want to, but I'm just going to spread it over with my palette knife. And you will notice I always spread using the back of the knife. That's one of the techniques of sparkle medium. When you put the sparkle medium onto your knife, always put it onto the back of the knife, because if you put it on the front, you'll be merrily pushing it under your stencil. So if ever you get sparkle medium under your stencil, just check that you're actually putting it onto the back of the knife. And always, always, always put any spare back in your pot. You're reusing. This is a reusable product. So let's have a look and see what we've got with this. I'm just going to pop that down. I'm going to remove my tape. As before, I told you, I often save my tape because this is reusable stencil tape. And then you can see this is the background and the border for our card. So if we have a look and see what we've got, I love this lapis blue on black. The drama of this is just absolutely gorgeous. So you can see there how gorgeous that looks. Really fantastic. And for my finished card, I've put the two together, and that's what we get. We get our beautiful, gorgeous sparkle medium lily. I've also added a black butterfly to it, and I've just tapped a little bit